Hey man, it's Butler, man. Best day of my life, man. Tomorrow's not promised. Go on, do your little dance while they still playing your song. Man, it's going down in South Carolina, bro. Let's dive right onto this thing, man.
To the bloody violence that broke out Sunday night at a maximum security prison in South Carolina, leaving 7 prisoners dead, 17 others seriously injured, the deadliest prison riot in the United States in a quarter of a century. A coroner said all the prisoners were stabbed, slashed, or beaten. 6 of the 7 were African-American. No guards were hurt. Department of Corrections Director Brian Sterling held a news conference Monday to describe how authorities responded after a, quote, inmate-on-inmate altercation. Inmate-on-inmate altercation started in a general population dorm around 7:15 p.m. at the Lee Correctional Institution in South Carolina.
An hour and 15 minutes later, another fight broke out in 2 other dorms at Lee Correctional. At 9 o'clock, other response teams, SITCOM and our SORT team, were activated and responded. Around 9:20, 9:23, SLED responded also. At 11:30, we entered the first dorm at Lee to take that dorm back. We had enough people there to enter safely, and we took that.
I mean, y'all had bodies just laying around, too. For it to be 17 other stabbings, 7 people unalive.
Dorm back. At 12:30, we went and entered the second dorm at Lee and safely took that dorm back. At 2 o'clock, we entered the last dorm at Lee and started conducting the roll call counts.
An imprisoned source inside the Lee facility who requested anonymity gave the news outlet Prison Legal News a series of photos that appear to have been taken with a cell phone and show graphic images of dead or badly wounded bodies covered with blood and a blood-soaked floor. The photos have not yet been verified. Director Sterling said it took 7 hours for guards to stop the violence Sunday night in order to maintain officer safety.
Before we can go into a dorm, just so you know, there's about 250, 260 inmates in each dorm. We're not going to just send 1 or 2 officers in there. We're going to gather a force that is safe for all our officers, and we're going to go in and we're going to take that dorm back with force. And if there's any resistance, we'll be able to put that resistance down immediately. So we're not going to put our officers and other staff in harm's way. We gathered as many people as we could, as quickly as we could, and went in as soon as we thought it was safe for our staff.
Lee Correctional Institution has seen several other prisoners reportedly overpowered an officer and took control of a part of the dorm for more than an hour. In February, a prisoner was killed by another prisoner was stabbed to death in November, and another died after a fight in July. In total, at least 20 prisoners have been killed by fellow prisoners in South Carolina since the start of 2017. One investigation found the number killed across South Carolina's prisons has quadrupled from 2015 to 2017. The South Carolina Prison Agency has also been hit with several lawsuits that outline a, quote, long history of violence and allege sometimes the violence is encouraged by guards. Meanwhile, on Monday, South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster told reporters why he thought violence had broken out Sunday night.
We know that prisons are places where people who have misbehaved on the outside go for rehabilitation and also to take them from the general population. It's not a surprise when we have violent events take place inside the prison, any prison in the country.
For more, we're joined in studio by Heather Ann Thompson, historian, author, activist with a long history of examining violence in prisons around.
Bro, we're not doing it.
Yet, it's never been publicized. But now the secret is out, and it was captured on camera.
Tonight, News 13 investigative reporter Larry Barker shows us the never-before-seen video of a monumental inmate uprising involving one of the state's most notorious serial killers.
I was extremely outraged that these breaches occurred under our watch.
This is the very kind of breach.
At 9:05 p.m. on September 23rd, Correctional Officer Matt Schreiner strolls the cell block 3 catwalk. He pauses at a locked cell, reaches in the door slot, and is handed contraband. Schreiner then surreptitiously passes it to an inmate next door. Moments later, the young security guard stops at cell 203 to chat with one of the most dangerous inmates in the entire prison system. You probably know his name. Clifton Bloomfield is a notorious serial killer who was
Why would the police do that if you know you're on camera?
sentenced to 195 years after he murdered 5 people in Albuquerque 10 years ago.
Hey, he looked like a bad dude. You stupid.
A few words are exchanged, and then, inexplicably, Schreiner unlocks Bloomfield's cell door. Why? Well, Schreiner later told investigators he just didn't remember allowing the convicted killer out of his cell. Bloomfield jumps the unarmed guard and overpowers him. With a shank at his neck, the prison guard is taken hostage. Bloomfield grabs Schreiner's keys and proceeds to unlock cell doors. Schreiner is able to break away. He dashes down steps to the first floor, grabs his walkie-talkie, and runs for help. With keys to the entire 40-man cell block and no guards, the inmates take control. Cell doors are unlocked, and some of the most dangerous prisoners in the state go on a rampage. The main entry door is barricaded. Some prisoners use their newfound freedom to settle scores. One inmate, a suspected informant, is assaulted in his cell, his throat slashed. Other inmates disable the prison's surveillance cameras. They start a fire and trash the cell block. The prison's riot response.
Niggas didn't win off. Oh my God, it was on sight. Man, y'all done did a lot. Boy, them folk not playing.
And overpowers him. With a shank at his neck, the prison guard is taken hostage. Bloomfield grabs Schreiner's keys and proceeds to unlock cell doors. Schreiner is able to break away. He dashes down steps to the first floor, grabs his walkie-talkie, and runs for help. With keys to the entire 40-man cell block and no guards, the inmates take control. Cell doors are unlocked, and some of the most dangerous prisoners in the state go on a rampage. The main entry door is barricaded. Some prisoners use their newfound freedom to settle scores. One inmate, a suspected informant, is assaulted in his cell, his throat slashed. Other inmates disable the prison's surveillance cameras. They start a fire and trash the cell block. The prison's riot response team assembles outside. They flood the cell block with tear gas and flash grenades. About an hour after the uprising began, prison security dressed in riot gear gained control. The entire cell block is declared a crime scene. Inmates are rounded up, handcuffed, and escorted one by one to the prison's day room. The inmate who was attacked is found in cell 109 unconscious in a pool of blood. Officers drag him out and call an ambulance. Ringleader Clifton Bloomfield is handcuffed and escorted out of the trashed cell block to the medical unit. The prison complex is placed on lockdown, and a Department of Corrections investigation is launched.
So what went wrong that night? Well, at the top of the list, prison understaffing. According to the state
Same thing going on in Georgia, bro. Understand.
investigation, staff vacancies at the GEO Group's Clayton facility are, quote, dangerously inadequate. On September 23rd, 20 staff members were required to fully secure the prison. 12 of those positions were mandatory. That night, however, only 9 correctional officers were present.
That night, they had less than half of the required staffing at that facility. Is that correct?
Correct.
When was the last time that they were fully staffed?
From my tenure as secretary, I've never seen them fully staffed at that facility.
How is that acceptable?
$1 million in penalties for failing to provide enough security to keep this facility safe. On the evening of September 23rd, the only correctional officer on duty in cell block 3 was the inexperienced Matt Schreiner. When he unlocked Clifton Bloomfield's cell door, he had no backup, no walkie-talkie, and he carried the keys to every cell in the cell block.
How do you allow an untrained, inexperienced rookie officer to go into the most dangerous portion of your prison without adequate backup, without a radio, with all the keys to the unit? I don't understand that.
When you're dealing with violent inmates, you always have a two-man escort. And this is just proof, based on this incident, why you want a backup or a two-man escort when you're dealing with these inmates so you don't get overpowered. The decision that officer made that evening really jeopardized the security of that whole facility, and it could have been a lot worse.
I'm not sure how the Corrections Department decided that a prisoner with 5 murder convictions could be housed safely at this facility. Someone blew it when they decided that someone that dangerous could be housed at that facility.
The day after the uprising, Clifton Bloomfield was transferred to the state pen in Santa Fe. Matt Schreiner resigned and has since moved to Texas. He did not respond to our request for an interview. The inmate that was brutally attacked in a cell recovered from his injuries. Northeast Prison Warden Mark Bowen refused to discuss the incident and referred questions to the Geo Group corporate.
Same thing the state of Georgia do, man. Hey, man. It's like a million videos, same outcome. Humans. Not being treated as humans. Man, y'all like, share, subscribe, man.